I'm a saint, but I sin. I checked in the game to win. I left, she loving me again. I let her cry out the bins and they say time heal. Mine still felt like it was yesterday. How we're moving fast, probably too fast to even catch the play. Spend some night, she pack a bag, right to me, just getting gas. Coming back, I want it bad. I'ma touch it first, eat it last, it's temporary. Holly damn emotion said it's temporary. My pain deeper than the ocean. Temporary feelings mixed with temporary pleasures. All these temporary moments and these temporary treasures. Temporary circumstances to temporary measures. Temporary friends and even temporary schedules. Temporary smiles and temporary goals. Temporary women sliding on temporary poles. Temporary comments and temporary trolls. I just pray that God bless me. Ain't no temporary souls. I'm a saint, but I sin. I checked in the game to win. I left, she loving me again. I let her cry out the bins and they say time heal. Mine still felt like it was yesterday. How we're moving fast, probably too fast to even catch the play. Spend some night, she pack a bag, right to me, just getting gas. Coming back, I want it bad. I'ma touch it first, eat it last, it's temporary. Holly damn emotion said it's temporary. My pain deeper than the ocean.
Welcome to the greatest damn show on YouTube. Welcome to the greatest damn show on YouTube.
Sitting with Jared and sitting with Josh and finding out other people.
What about now, Chad? Can y'all hear me now? I don't know why. Like, why does my. Like, I know y'all can hear me now because I can see my mic moving, but why? Why is that? Why is it like that, man? See, this morning, Chad, I got up and I got to messing with some damn settings, and I should have just left them hoes alone, bro. But I should have just left them hoes alone, man. I should have just left them damn settings alone, bro. I pretty much had everything together.
Pieces of information. I was like, wow. Sitting with Jared and sitting with Josh and finding out other pieces of information, I was like, wow, these guys might have really been holding Trump back and being very much a handler right then. They love.
All right, is it an echo now, chat? Is it an echo now? Now that I'm playing it, does it echo? Are y'all hearing it twice?
Love to just look at me or look at Trump like we're so crazy and that they're the businessmen. So when I think about all of these things that Jared, somehow doesn't get enough credit for with his work, and what is it? His work in Israel or his work in Palestine? What is this? You know where he made these peace treaties? Where was that? Do you know the facts on this right here? So I'm like,
I think that was between Israel and some of the Arab nations.
I just think it was to make money. I don't know. Is that too heavy-handed to put on this platform?
No.
So he's saying it was to make money. All right, Chad. I knew that you guys the other day kept saying that y'all couldn't hear the audio. Y'all were saying the audio was a little low. So that's what I was trying to do, make it to where y'all can hear the audio and hear me. So y'all are saying it's good now. Okay, so this is... Listen to what Kanye is saying, man. I'm going to cut it off before we get to talking too crazy. But listen to what this dude is saying, man. This is like 2022, 2023.
And finding out other pieces of information, I was like, wow, these guys might have really been holding Trump back and being very much a handler right then. They love to just look at me or look at Trump like we're so crazy and that they're the businessmen. So when I think about all of these things that Jared, somehow doesn't get enough credit for with his work, and what is it? His work in Israel or his work in Palestine? What is this? You know where he made these peace treaties? Where was that? Do you know the facts on this right here? So I'm like,
I think that was between Israel and some of the Arab nations.
I just think it was to make money. I don't know. Is that too heavy-handed to put on this platform?
No, that's your opinion. We're not in the censorship business.
Okay, thank you. And a couple days later, I found out that Josh Kushner had 10% of Skims, which is a line that I had developed.
Kushner is an example of how the Jewish people.
All right, chat. We're not going to play that clip. Because that clip is, that's that banned Drink Champs clips. Man, we not playing that banned Drink Champ clips. They'll get your damn channel up out of here for playing that shit. I ain't gonna lie, chat. But that's just crazy that Kanye was saying that shit back then about, how Jared Kushner could be Trump's handler. And he said it was for the damn money. Now we got Professor Chang coming out comparing them all over. Oh, chat. That's what I forgot to cover. So yesterday, the U.S. did hit the main data center of Bank Sapah, Iran's largest bank, last night. They're saying that this is the bank that pays the Iranians regime military forces. So it's looking like in response to that, Iran came out and said that, look, man, we just put out a hit list. We're about to hit Google, Microsoft, IBM, Palantir, Nvidia, and Oracle. All of those companies y'all got over there in Dubai and Israel and Abu Dhabi. We're about to blow that shit the hell up, man. Why the fuck is my camera out? Hold on. See, Chad, I get to having these technical difficulties, man. And they get to blowing me, Chad. I'm talking about pissing me off, bruh. Pissing me off, bruh. But yeah, we're going to get into that as well. But Google, Microsoft, IBM, Palantir, Nvidia, and Oracle are all on standby. Also, we have the Iranian regime put out this they put out this video to show, like, look, man, y'all thought we was running out of some shit, man. They put out this video, and allegedly these are underground tunnels full of boats and tanks and fucking military gear, bro. Dang, I'm not supposed to be cussing, but yeah. Yeah, I don't want to hear that. But look, chat, this is like a minute-long video. I don't know if it's on a loop or what, but these are all the speedboats. So they're saying that the way that they've been blowing up those tankers out there have been little kamikaze boats, remote control boats that just blow the hell up, man. It's over with, man. Remote control boats that just blow the hell. You said, yeah, they put a plug on you. You can make anywhere from 100 to 700 a month in a run. Oh no, man, I'm not going over there making no 100 to 700 a month, man. What are we talking about here? All right, let me pull up the video, man. My bad, chat. I was took so long to get the damn audio and shit together. Then I come on here and y'all saying the audio's messed up a little bit more. So we finna just get into it, chat. We just finna get into it, man. Where the hell is that at? All right, here we go. Oh yeah, I seen Trump endorse damn Jake Paul too, chat. Did y'all see Trump endorse Jake Paul? What the hell is going on with that, bro? Trump endorsed Jake Paul. Logan Paul out here damn playing with Pokemon cards, making millions and millions of dollars. Shit is crazy, bro.
Morning as Steve Harrigan is live from the Iran-Armenia border, where Iranians are fleeing.
But first, Trey Yanks is in Israel with the latest on the ground. Good morning, Trey.
Lawrence, good morning. The Israelis say just last hour they launched a new wave of strikes against the Iranian regime, hitting new targets across the country of Iran. This comes as Iran's largest proxy in the region, Hezbollah, overnight got more directly involved in this war.
Oh shit, yeah, they said Hezbollah sent off like 100 damn rockets at once. Chad, I'm not gonna lie, they said Hezbollah put 100 rockets in the air at one damn time.
According to an IDF official that I spoke with, more than 100 rockets were fired over the border into northern Israel in a period of less than an hour. There were also a number of drones launched as well. Much of this incoming fire intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome, but there were some reports of injuries on the ground in northern Israel. A top spokesperson for the Israeli military saying this about the situation.
Hezbollah is under pressure today. It works for its Iranian master. It acts contrary to the Lebanese interest. It not only does not defend Lebanon, it harms Lebanon. We see the statements of Lebanon's government leaders. It harms the state of Lebanon.
The Israelis quickly striking back, hitting the Dakhya neighborhood of southern Beirut, as well as a number of other launching positions across the country of Lebanon. Hezbollah, they say, will pay a heavy price for these attacks on civilians in northern Israel. I want to shift now to the Persian Gulf, where we have some new videos of tankers on fire overnight just off the coast of Iraq. There were coordinated attacks by Iran's small navy that is left in the aftermath of decimating CENTCOM strikes against this country. But you can see some of the flames spewing from one of these tankers here. At least one person was killed, according to reports. And other videos show crew members from these two tankers being evacuated to the shoreline nearby. Also in Oman, we saw a significant attack by an Iranian drone yesterday that targeted fuel storage facilities. Some aftermath video here, and there were videos circulating showing this drone slamming into these storage facilities in the country of Oman. President Trump talking yesterday about the impact on energy prices and oil markets.
And my administration, as you know better than anybody, is also working to keep the oil flowing. It's flowing all over. We knocked out, you know, they wanted to drop some mines. Very friendly people, mines, so boats blow up. And we knocked out, as of, you know, every hour I have to change because they knock them out so fast. I've never seen anything. Think of it. They knocked out 54 ships in 2 days, and they're real ships.
The Trump administration clearly focused on the energy markets here amid this conflict, but doing what they can to ensure that prices don't change at the pump and ensure.
What the hell do you mean prices don't up? That gas is up a whole fucking $1 in like 2 weeks, bro. Like, what are we talking about? Gas is up $1, bro. I think that's a little too late. I just seen they came out and said that oil prices aren't gonna be going down anytime until mid-2027. You might well lock this shit in mid-2027. That's why I said, how much does it cost for you to fill up your damn truck or your vehicle, man?
That as this war continues, the Iranians are not able to issue more threats and actions against the Persian Gulf. Guys?
Hey, Trey, did it catch the Israelis by surprise that Hezbollah would launch 100 rockets in on that type of velocity, that type of density? Did you think they're caught by surprise by that?
Yeah, absolutely. And we look where these rockets were fired from. We talked to a resident along the border who indicated these rockets were launched very close to the Israel-Lebanon border, an area that was previously controlled in the past couple of years by Israeli ground forces who had launched this ground operation against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. And so it's quite interesting they're still able to fire these rockets from areas close to the border. And also the Israeli military today saying that the public should have been notified further in advance because there was some intelligence circulating that Hezbollah and Iran were going to coordinate in an attack last night against Israel.
Trey, is there any update from the Gulf states with a potential offensive response?
No updates, but I did hear from the Qataris last night who indicated they shot down a number of ballistic missiles who were...
Yeah, Sonny. Oil had pushed up to 115, but then it came down and then it pushed back up to 90 and then $94. It should be creeping back up on 100. So yeah, oil has been swinging between, you know, high 80s to, you know, mid one teens, I guess.
That were fired toward their country. These countries are coming under significant attack. The Iranians, while they can't get off as many of the long-range ballistic missiles, they still have drones and shorter-range missiles positioned in western Iran that allow them to target these countries. But as they continue to get off what they can, we've seen a massive reduction in their ability to fire drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles, and B, the Americans and the Israelis going after these launching positions in western Iran. And we'll continue to see this in the days ahead. But you see this video here from...
Yeah, watching that Trump Kentucky speech, it just showed me how out of touch he is with his base. Like, the way he's going at Thomas Massey about the Epstein files, about the one hard line that most of the conservative movement had. Now that he's going after Thomas Massey like that, I just don't. I think Trump's said fuck it, bro. I don't. He's not reading the room. He doesn't care. It's like, look, man, we're gonna get the one guy that stood on business the hell up out of here. If you're not a yes man, you got to get the hell up out of here, man. Thomas Massey stood on business. MTG stood on business. She's at the fucking house, man, riding her horse into the sunset. And we got Thomas Massey getting attacked in his home state at the Kentucky rally. I don't know, bro, Chad. That was kind of crazy to me.
The Qataris, a local news agency, as they're shooting down these drones and missiles that are soaring through the skies of their country. And so, again, this will continue in the days ahead, but each and every day that...
Oh, yeah. Now we have, what? We have the strategic oil reserves being depleted. It's wartime, so I guess that's better. When Biden had our strategic oil reserves that damn low, he was trying to get gas down, you know, win the election. Well, it's fucking wartime now, so... I guess that is a good reason to, you know, go into the strategic oil reserve. It's wartime.
Passes, the United States and Israel are decimating Iran's ability to respond. And again, these numbers are going to trickle off as the days continue in Operation Epic Fury.
Iran is telling Iranian media and their people are saying that prepare for $200 a barrel. Iran is saying that they're finna try to push this shit to $200 a barrel globally.
Continues to inflict heavy blows on the Iranian regime.
Trey, I know you touched on gas prices. How is what's happening there? How long will that affect gas prices here in America? The president yesterday, when he was speaking, he said the International Energy Agency has agreed to coordinate to release 400 million barrels of oil from the reserves around the world. But look at that. Right now, the price of a barrel is about $97. So it's fluctuating. We saw... what, 120 earlier in the week or last week, and then it went down to the 80s. Now it's back up to almost $100.
Yeah, it's a great question. And look, not just International Energy Agency, but also the United States Strategic Petroleum Reserve, estimated to release around 172 million barrels of oil. The issue here...
Oh, chat, did y'all see that Bulletproof put a $300 billion initiative to build the first oil refinery that has been built mainland U.S. in over 50 years. It's supposed to go to Brownsville, Texas. I looked up Brownsville, Texas. That shit's in the Gulf of America. It's all the way at the damn bottom in the Gulf of America. But yeah, they're about to build a $300 billion oil refinery, the first one in 50 years.
Here is ensuring that the markets can stay stabilized while the Persian Gulf is effectively closed. But as these military options for the Trump administration are actually used, and we see the video from CENTCOM going after the boats that could lay the mines from the Iranian regime, the effort here is to try to control this strait and ensure that tankers are eventually going to be able to travel through again. And so there will be uncertain days ahead as this war continues, and the timeline is going to be very important to look at here. But as we can see, the Trump administration is doing what they can, not just for the United States and the petroleum reserve there, but also international countries who have the ability to ease oil markets and basically ensure that consumers know that there are things being done behind the scenes to try and stabilize those markets while the war continues.
All right, Trey, thanks so much. We'll check in with you next hour. So the one thing to keep in mind, too, is that they've lost the ability to regenerate, make short range.
No, this is the thing, Flower. When you say no need to panic about oil, we have plenty of oil, Europe might affect. It's not about the oil that we have. It's about the perception. So see how gas has already went up $1 in, what, 2 weeks? Less than 2 weeks. It's like, we don't get any oil from Iran. So this is the market pricing that shit in. So yeah, we might not technically run out of oil, but our pockets are gonna get beat to the ground, bro. It's probably like $1.20 to fill up my truck right now. I'm just gonna be honest with you, Chad. It's probably like $1.20 to fill that bad boy up right now, bro.
Medium range, long range missiles. So when they shoot them, they're done. So you can't say where they're bottomless. No, there's a bottom. And how about no money is actually going to the Hezbollah or Hamas?
I don't think so, Flowers. I believe someone from the Trump admin came out yesterday and said don't expect oil prices to go down until mid-2027. So we're at least locked in for a year. They're saying don't expect any changes until mid-2027. They're already putting that in the air.
Hamas, because Iran's been basically cut
What's
off.
up, Drew?
And the
What's
other
up,
thing to keep
OG?
in mind, do you remember when the Prime Minister said, get ready, Iran, to take this time's coming soon to take your country back?
Yeah,
I think
Prime Minister of Israel.
Yeah, Prime Minister of Israel. It's related directly to what's happening. Now reported on the ground, the Besiege, which is a division of the IRGC, the domestic plainclothes brutal police force that walks around, grabs your phone. If you have anything negative about the administration, they put you in jail. If they find you doing things weren't positive, they kill you. The Besiege, their commander was just killed. They're being targeted. The checkpoints they formed to intimidate the masses, they're being blown up and targeted now. That's why he's saying that. The other thing that could happen, I think is taking place, is arming the civilian population to take their country back.
Which is huge, Ainsley. So the president's back on the road, talking with the American people, making the case.
If USA is feared from threats under high alert, then how is it possible craft carrying force is not till attacked? I don't know what the hell you're saying, Con. You got to get that shit together for me to answer it.
It's really in contrast. We were talking before we got on air about the rooting against America from some of these networks and analysts of not supporting our military. I mean, I remember doing a line at 11. My dad's a Democrat. We're attacked, and George Bush gives that speech saying we're going after him. He's like, I'm a Republican now. I'm supporting this administration. I'm supporting my country. That hasn't been the view of a lot of Democrats, but not our president. He's saying that he's not leaving. Our military is not leaving until we finish the job.
We don't want to leave early, do we, huh? We got to finish the job, right? Over the past 11 days, our military has virtually destroyed Iran. Tough country. Their air force is gone, totally gone. That took the better part of about 3 hours. They no longer have radar. They don't have anti-aircraft equipment. They don't have anything. Their missiles are down 90%. Their drones are down 85%. We're blowing up the factories where they're made left and right. And then after midnight hammering, then we left. We figured that'll be the end of them for a while. But they started again. That's why we got to finish it, right? We don't want to go back every 2 years. We're not leaving until that job is finished, and it's going to be very fast. It's going to be very fast.
He was asked also about the sleeper cells, because people are worried about that, how that could affect us, how what's happening over there could affect us here at home if there are the radicals that are here that want to do something to all of us. And he says he's been briefed. He said, we have our eye on all of them, all the sleeper cells. He says he's not worried about Iran attacking us on U.S. soil. He blamed their entry into the United States on the Biden administration and says, quote, we've been very much on top of it.
What I don't understand is why we're letting the Iranian tankers leave. they're using the strait and getting out. Now, part of the reason there hasn't been heavily mined, number one, the president said, warned them. Number two is they don't want to hit their own tankers. They don't want to hit the Chinese tankers. I don't know why we're letting them do what Venezuela was not able to do. So just stop them from being able to export oil, number one. Number two, I think it's really important to point out that we have wiped out their Navy, but the way they're hitting the tankers is through land, which is part of the reason why we have not escorted through the Strait of Hormuz. It's so narrow, it's hard for our destroyers to be able to guard against some of the short-range drones and short-range rockets, and they don't want to make them targets. If one of our ships is disabled in the strait, it bottles it up and nobody gets through. So their goal is to make the energy prices $200 a barrel in the hope that pressure gets on America
200.
to stop.
1 second,
I am
Chad.
so impressed with our allies who said, no, I'm going to tap our strategic oil reserves, 32 nations, 400 million barrels out there. What did we do yesterday? 172 million out there. Hold on tight. We're about to take down this regime. If anyone doubted what they're up to, they're showing you. They're hitting civilian targets. They're hitting banks, and they're going for oil refineries and oil tanks in Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE especially.
All right, let's go to Steve Harrigan. He joins us live from the Armenian-Iran border, where he's been speaking with the refugees who are fleeing Iran to go over the border. Steve.
And so it's interesting to talk to Iranians who've crossed over out of Iran here safely into Armenia, yet many of them are still so scared of their own government, they are hesitant to talk on camera. One man told us off camera what his government's main goal is in Iran. He said they want to keep their power badly, and if the American Air Force and the Israeli Air Force come to kill them, they will sacrifice all the people of Iran and all the resources of Iran to remain in power. Another tough question we put to people who were fleeing, who crossed over here, many of them just holding suitcases. How do you feel about the fact that the U.S. and Israel are right now attacking your country? Here was one man's response. The U.S. Air Force and the Israeli Air Force are coming to kill our enemy, but at the same time they attacked our oil facilities. We don't want this. We just want to get rid of the Islamic Republic, not our own resources. So hit the government, not the infrastructure, and this man calling that government our enemy. Guys, back to you.
Love it, Steve. Thanks so much. Who knows if it's going to be a flood there? Turkey says, I don't know if I'm going to get refugees like like Syria when they had their revolution. We don't know about that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Steve, always. But I would just add one other thing. As these people leave, if they leave, they feel that families could be targeted.
Oh, yeah.
So if they're safe, it's not really doesn't matter if your family's going to be targeted that you left.
There was one other quote, Ainsley, that Steve did during the 5 o'clock hour, where one of the people said that they're radicals, and they feel like they're going to get their 100 virgins in heaven.
That's right. Yeah, I saw that.
And it's one thing when we sit on the couch studying these folks and what they've done to the radical Islamists, but when you have people that live inside of the country that are telling you there's no negotiating with these people.
And they believe if they are radical and they kill people who have different religious views than they do, then they're going to heaven.
That's right.
Just two things. I look for them to do what John Fetterman called for yesterday: kill the new supreme leader. He's already wounded. And number two is, I think there's operations underway to go get that uranium, and that's as big as killing the
What makes you say that?
There's just movement about. There's They seem to know where it's located, and I have unbelievable amount of faith in the IDF and the Mossad for knowing what's on the ground and see what's possible.
And yesterday with Benjamin Netanyahu saying that you will be free.
We're close.
We're close.
There's a lot of stuff you can't see. We just, we'll show you. They can show you tapes, but there's a lot of stuff happening.
All right, chat. Do y'all think we're close, chat? We're going to get into this episode right here. This is BlackRock CEO talking about the oil prices. I got to take a call, so give me like 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're going to get into that Tucker Carlson, because the media's coming at Tucker pretty hard. Everybody hit the like button, chat. I'll be right back.
The workforce is retiring, especially in the skilled trades. This year, for every 5 who leave, 2 come in. The arithmetic's not on our side. The perceptions are not on our side. The need is clear and present and maybe existential. And that's why it's really exciting to see the grown-ups come together and say, all right, it's time. This is the year we close the gap.
Let's talk about the U.S. economy tonight. Larry Fink is the chairman and CEO of BlackRock, considered the world's largest asset manager. Larry, thanks for being here.
Brett, it's great to be here.
I want to talk about this new project, the Future Builders Initiative, and the specifics there, but I want to ask you first about how you think this war in Iran, the action in Iran, is affecting investing. Obviously, the global oil market has taken a spike.
Yes.
There is a sense from the president that that's going to be short-lived. How do you look at it from your seat?
Well, it's great to be here. Obviously, it creates uncertainty, and uncertainty creates fear. But that being said, the $14.5 trillion of money we manage, most of it is very long dated. I don't pay much attention to the short-term volatility, but I focus more on these longer-term trends. Do I believe the war is going to be lasting a long time? No. Do I believe oil is going to be reverting back to where it was? Maybe even lower. I mean, if the outcome of the war is a neutralized Iran, and they are allowed to be, selling products into the market again, oil products into the market again, I mean, there's probably a great probability that oil is going to be below 50. But once again, that's a short-term move and all that. But I do believe the markets find a way to balance out. And the markets are a great efficient mechanism to talk about that identifies the short-term issues. We have seen many people pulling out of the market, and to me, that's the wrong outcome. In fact, I've been getting so many texts, what should I do? And I said, buy more here, because this is a good long-term opportunity.
Was it similar on uncertainty when it came to tariffs and then the Supreme Court ruling and how that's affected things as well? Or is it a totally different ballgame?
That took almost, close to 9 months from the time we had Liberation Day to maybe when the Supreme Court came out with their ruling. I think the market adjusted very rapidly. I mean, we did not see the inflation that we thought we were going to see because of the tariffs. That being said, companies have absorb some of the costs. Tariffs are added cost to these importation of these products. So we probably have had some inflationary trends because of tariffs. But at the same time, we're having, very large deflationary trends because of the role of AI and how that's playing into the economy.
You mentioned AI. Obviously, a big concern about AI is jobs.
Yes.
And what that looks like. You have this.
All right, chat. My bad. We finna get into this Tucker Carlson. I just had to play that. I had to take that damn call. All right. Everybody left. Y'all double tap the screen for me. Share the live out. Let's get some people back in here. Let's see what Tucker said. Tucker dropped a episode last night, and it's taking Twitter by storm. I ain't gonna lie. I think he's calling out, I ain't gonna think about it. He's calling out this war. He's gonna give us his breakdown. Let's see what the damn monologue state.
In just a minute, we're going to play you an interview we just.
Damn, Tucker, that bad boy is loud. Tucker, hold on, chat. Is it really loud to y'all? Press 1 if this is the volume's okay. Press 2 if it's kind of loud, man. Let's get into this. Y'all know I gotta pause it because Tucker get us the hell up
with our friend Brett Weinstein about the war in Iran, why it started, what it means, how it may end, and when. And we should say at the outset why we did this interview. Brett Weinstein is not an expert on military tactics or strategy. He's not a diplomat. He's not a Farsi speaker. He is instead a biologist. He's a close observer of living things and of the systems they occupy and create. So, but why speak to Brett Weinstein? Really, honestly, one reason, because he's honest. He's an honest man. He's a scientist, and the first requirement of science is, of course, honesty. Report what you know. But we know that he's honest because we've known him for almost 10 years now and watched him evolve in some ways from a liberal.
Oh, chat, he's talking about a scientist. Do y'all know that guy? I think Steve sent it to me, that the UFO researcher, the military guy, is he still missing, chat? Have they located that man?
College professor at Evergreen to a Trump voter and promoter during the last campaign of Donald Trump. And unlike a lot of people you see in the political sphere evolve, Brett Weinstein kept the rest of us apprised of his evolution as was in progress. He didn't pretend, I've always thought this.
Chat, hit the like
He told
button.
us that he had changed his mind and why. So on the deepest level, he is an honest man, honest about the things he sees around him, what he thinks are behind those things, and honest, most important and most telling of all, about himself. So it's important to get an honest analysis of what's happening now because the dishonesty is so overwhelming, it's hard to separate it from the true. So if you're following this, attempting to follow it in this incredibly censored moment we're living in online, you're seeing all kinds of things that seem true that aren't.
All right, this is what it says, Sonny. UFOs experts disappearing in New Mexico is a grave national security crisis. His name is William McCaslin. William McCaslin. And I don't think they found him yet.
You're seeing true things suppressed, the most basic things. How many people have been killed on all sides? How many have been injured? You keep reading that Israeli cabinet minister Ben-Gvir died again and again. He's dead. Well, he was.
Oh, the guy that's missing is UFO expert. His name, he's a Air Force Major General. Air Force Major General William McCaslin. William McCaslin. He's been missing for about 6 days.
He was in Jerusalem a couple hours ago issuing decrees, so not dead. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Basic facts like what's the physical damage to all of these countries sucked into this conflict you can't find because that information has been censored by those countries in which it took place, and by American social media companies. So it's really hard to know what's true. Everybody involved in this conflict has a strong incentive to lie and to spin. But at some point, all of that lying becomes irrelevant.
So yeah, I talked to a guy from like I said, I'm gonna get the interview. We'll probably have to do it on Kick, but a guy from the Caribbean, and he was saying like they get so much propaganda. Like he didn't want to. Like when I told him the Ayatollah was dead, like he waited 2 days to confirm that. Like he didn't like when we were speaking, like because we talk pretty much every day, just seeing what's going on, like how he feels about the Cuba conflict and shit, man. And when I told him like, look, bro, the Ayatollah's gone, bro. It's over with, man. He was like, I'm gonna wait a couple days to see if it's confirmed because it's so much propaganda, and that put me into a mind frame where like, damn, a lot of this shit is propaganda, man. So maybe we should wait a couple days to verify this shit. But the news cycle moves so fast, it's like, damn.
Rhetoric itself, propaganda itself, becomes irrelevant in the face of war because war changes physical things, not just words and minds, but physical realities like borders and populations of countries and control over resources. Those decisions are settled by armed conflict a lot of the time. They certainly will be in the case of this war. And so in the end, it kind of doesn't matter what you say.
Yeah, I think Como is like, he does something with history. I think he studied history. He went and studied in Africa abroad. So he did a lot of his schooling and a lot of his college and shit in Africa. So he's like from the Caribbean, went to Africa, done all the studies. So he has a different look on the world than I do. So I think it'll be a pretty good interview because I've been in America.
Somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose, and the world's going to be very different, and the rest of us
Money?
can assess those differences unencumbered or impeded by your lying, by your propaganda. And that may be why, actually, for a war, there's been relatively little propaganda around this. The current administration hasn't even really tried to explain why we're doing this. Not very hard, anyway. And in some ways, we should be grateful for that. It's a sign of respect not to lie to people too aggressively. The President of the United States today said on camera, we're thinking about using nukes against Iran. He said we could eliminate Iran, make it
Everybody said I was damn crazy. When I said, man, I think this bad boy is going nuclear. I think Trump might turn that to a parking lot over there, man. And it's just what's going on. That's why we hear the Armageddon. That's why we hear the war to end all wars. We hear, this we're that is the psyop. That is the propaganda. This is a soft launch to nukes, man. They're about to decimate this shit, man. It's gonna be some shit the world has never seen before, man. I believe they're preparing us for it, man. I believe the Nick Shirley, the Somali fraud, I believe all of that shit, man. The whole attack in America on Muslims, rid America of Muslims and all of that, man. I believe it's a soft launch, a psyop, because they're about to decimate that, eradicate that shit over there, man.
Inhabitable forever in an hour. We have weapons that can do that. Well, those are nuclear weapons. The President of the United States just saying out loud, if this gets more intense, we could nuke them. Now, you can support that or disagree with that, however you feel about that. You know, it's not often that people are.
That's what I'm saying. I believe that they're trying to dehumanize them. I believe that whole campaign was to dehumanize the Muslim community, especially the Arab Muslim community. So when nukes go off, it just is what it is. We just seen that they confirmed yesterday that there was a U.S. Tomahawk that hit that school, right? Right? Didn't they confirm it? I don't see anybody mad. I don't see anybody mad. Like, have y'all seen any of these talking heads come out and say, fuck, bro, we just blew up a school, a girls' school. Nobody said anything? Nobody? Why? I want y'all to sit and think with that. Why?
Or that blunt about what could happen. And again, there's been very little attempt to convince you that we did this in America's national interest. The Secretary of State just came out and said we did it because Israel forced our hand. So they've been pretty direct, actually, about what is going on here and what the stakes potentially are. President of the United States threatening nuclear weapons. Okay. Well, lots on the table. The propagandists for the war, the people who really more than anyone else in this country pushed us to where we are now, are.
To me, Trump is one of those people, chat. I'm pretty sure y'all have dealt with some people in your life that's like this. Their mindset is, why have it if you're not going to use it? You know what I'm saying, chat? And to a certain extent, I agree. Just not with nukes. You know what I'm saying? Not with nukes. Now, nukes is a whole different level. When it comes to, protecting yourself, protecting your property and your home and shit, man, the shit over here is not to look at. You know what I'm saying? What's the point of having it if you're not going to use it? Now, when we get to talking about nukes, I think Trump is taking that same mindset into all of the weaponry that we have. Like, what's the point of having it if we're not going to use it? I think that's Trump's mindset, in my honest opinion.
Weirdly, unaccountably, even angrier than ever. You got what you wanted, but you're madder than ever. That's been true since the very first hours. The second the first barrage was unleashed against Iran and then the counterattacks from Iran against the Gulf and American interests there, these people have been enraged. Very interesting. A licensed psychiatrist should study that someday. Why are they so mad since they got what they wanted? But the nature of their propaganda hasn't really changed. There's been no...
So yeah, Sonny, I looked into it as well. They're saying that the weapons experts have identified the Tomahawk. They're like, hey, that's a U.S. Tomahawk. And they also confirmed that the U.S. were doing strikes in that area. So, I mean, you put two and two together. I mean, damn, it's a U.S. Tomahawk. We're the only ones letting them bad boys go off over there. And we were targeting strikes in that area. Looks like we did it, bro. Looks like our military did it, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. It's crazy.
Effort to convince you as an American citizen or a citizen of any country that it's good for you. Only that we must do this, and if you're opposed to it in any way, you are a bad person. Not incorrect, not wrong.
See, Drip, you said the fallout of using nukes, both radioactive and natural progression of events, would be crazy. Yes, Drip. But when we're talking about the actual fallout, we have to realize that they already struck the oil tanker in Bahrain. Isn't that not the oil tanker, the oil refinery? Wasn't that in Bahrain? So those people over there are doomed anyway. They're getting acid rain over there, all of that smoke, they're breathing in all those toxins. That's a recipe for cancer, man. You might as well put cancer in a bowl, put a little milk on it, and just eat the shit. Honestly. So again, Drip, I think that this is all leading up to it. It's the chain of escalation leading up to it. It's like, well, hell, we already blew up the oil refinery. They'll probably get cancer in about 15, 20 years, man, and just die out. So it's crazy.
In your calculations, not dumb, but evil. And you kind of got to wonder what this is, other than an obvious attempt to divide American society into neocons and non-neocons. Why would you want to do that? Neocons are a tiny percentage of the American population, but clearly they're trying. But it's interesting to watch it. We haven't played a lot of this, don't plan to. But there's one clip from Ben Shapiro, recent clip, that kind of sums up the arguments in favor of this war. Here's Ben Shapiro.
Sadly, younger Republicans have become similarly prone to conspiratorial thinking. According to Manhattan Institute, 54% of young Republicans, men under 50, believe the Holocaust didn't happen as historians describe. 53% of Republicans under 50 believe in 9/11 conspiracy theories. 51% believe the moon landing was faked.
I'm not gonna lie, chat. Now, I'm not a Holocaust denier or anything like that. I haven't done enough research to just come out and give my honest opinion. Maybe I should do that. But I read that rabbi's speech from 1953, and it put a lot into perspective, or 1952, it put a lot into perspective for me. I'm gonna just say that.
These people, too, have bought into a grievance-based distrust of the system. And it's showing in their embrace of psychotic figures and disconnected politics. America is a force for good in the world. Radical Islamists are evil. American allies who demonstrate strength are an asset for us. Terrorists are bad. Members of the Grievance Party are losing their mind over this, and now they've been relegated to basically rooting for Iran to win. So members of the Grievance Party, meaning Democrats and members of that horseshoe right, have decided that after paying lip service to the horrors of the mullahs, the true horror is American interventionism and destruction. America must be undermined.
So if you have questions about this war, whether it's in your interest, your country's interests or not, and it's never a question that's occurred to Ben Shapiro, is this good for America?
Yeah, chat. You said don't do it 6 million. Hey man, I'm not gonna say it wasn't 6 million. I'm just gonna say this, that the rabbi, if you go read that rabbi's speech, man, it'll put the whole puzzle together for you. You will be like, wow, okay, so this is what was going on, and this kind of led to that, and they wanted World War III at this point in time, but World War III didn't come within that 5 years time. So what happened in that 5 years time to where World War III, and it just, different chain of events, man. You got to go
It's really not under consideration.
read that speech.
But if it's under your consideration, if you've raised that question, you are tantamount to a Holocaust denier. You're insane. You're a crazy person. You probably think the moon landing was fake and 9/11 was fake. By the way, there's a pretty easy way to settle any debate about 9/11, which is by declassifying the millions of pages of classified documents that might explain what 9/11 was. But that's never under consideration. We could end this debate right now. We won't, of course. But you're a bad person. And above all, you are a disloyal person, disloyal to the United States. You are, quote, rooting for Iran to win. You're part of the grievance party. How dare you complain? How dare you have grievances? It's pretty weak. Coming for a guy who literally knows nothing about the rest of the world at all. So, you can get annoyed by it at some point, especially if Iran wins. People like that will double their calls to arrest anyone on the other side. They're already calling for it. These people should be investigated. Anyone who's against this should be investigated on a ferret charge. They should go to jail. Their ideological opponents should go to jail. Who's the totalitarian here?
I'm looking for some.
And you'll hear a lot more of that. But you will not see people pay a ton of attention to yelping, childish yelping like that, totally uninformed screaming like that ever again. Because again, this conflict has entered what the military refers to euphemistically as the kinetic stage. People are actually firing munitions at each other. So it kind of doesn't matter.
All right, Chad. So at this point in the war, grade the war right now, man. Do you think how far along do you think we're in the war? Do you think we're in the early stages, 10%, or do you think this war is about 80% done, man? Let me know what y'all think, Chad.
Or what people on the sidelines say at this point, this is a hot war and it will be decided by force. One of the reasons you don't want to get into a hot war. In other words, we've exited the part of the exchange where it's two guys in the parking lot. What'd you say? I'll mess you up. And we've gotten to the part where one guy just punches the other guy in the face and keeps going unless he's stopped. So that's exactly where we are. So it doesn't kind of matter what you said before the punching started. Not that Ben Shapiro has any experience of that, but it's just true that once people start hurting each other, words matter less, and the dominant party will emerge victorious. That's exactly where we are. So who is going to win this? And what does it mean to win? Well, the most obvious and...
All right, this is what it is, Chad. This is where it is. I had to find it. It's the speech of Rabbi Emanuel Rabinovich. It was a special meeting of the Emergency Council of European Rabbis in Budapest, Hungary, January 12th, 1952. It's a CIA document that was declassified, and it is a transcript of that speech. Y'all go read that speech and do with that what you will. You know, it may shed some light for you. It may send you on an information, journey.
Often repeated observation about this conflict is totally true. Iran's threshold for victory is very low. It just needs to survive. The regime has to remain intact. Now, in order to change the regime, everyone pretty much agrees you would need ground forces. You'd need troops, boots on the ground, American boots on the ground, in order to do that. And there is zero appetite for that in this administration, much less in the country. Israel would like us to commit ground troops, obviously. But it would take a lot to get us to do that. It would take some sort of terror attack in the United States, probably like 9/11, in order for us to do that. But that hasn't happened yet. We pray it never happens. So at this point, we're not going to commit ground troops, which does sort of put the whole exercise in perspective. If Iran's burgeoning nuclear program was really a threat to our core national security interests, then of course we would commit ground troops, because any threat to our core national security interests merits committing ground troops. But this one didn't. And the people who decided this were told, or believed somehow, that we could effect regime change from the air, because Iran was in a pre-revolutionary stage, and all we needed to do was topple the head figure, like dominoes cascading. That would set off a chain reaction that installed a pro-Western government in Tehran. That was the argument. These arguments always seem ludicrous. In retrospect, you always laugh at them. Really? Did you really think that? Well, apparently we really did.
What I want to know is how do they know the new Ayatollah is injured? That, like, I heard that earlier, and it was like the other Ayatollah is dead and the new Ayatollah is injured. How the fuck do they know that?
But almost 2 weeks in, that has not happened. By the way, that would be a great outcome, because it would end the war immediately. Set like a pro-American government in Tehran. Like, why is that so hard? Well, it is hard. And the U.S. has never really been able to do it, despite trying a lot with these so-called regime change wars. So if we don't succeed in doing that, if in the end the United States decides, well, we can't do this, what happens then? That is the question. In other words, what does an Iranian victory look like? An Iranian victory does not look like Iranian forces, invading the Gulf and controlling Dubai or something, or setting up a new satellite capital in Jerusalem. That's not going to happen, probably. Hope doesn't. What an Iranian victory looks like is really simple. It's control of the Straits of Hormuz. It's exactly what it looks like, which, if you hadn't looked at a map recently, is only about 20 miles wide, and it's the choke point through which 20% of the world's energy flows. 20%.
Okay, so he's saying an Iranian win looks like control of the Strait of Hormuz, which is correct. I do believe that withdrawing the U.S. forces, and maybe if the Israeli forces leave, or it's just not going on anymore, they'll be like, hey, we withheld. We held out and they left, and shit. Well, they'll tout that as a win. Survival at this point, man. When you dealing with some shit like this, man, and the guy that's talking about pushing some buttons, man, and sending nukes across the globe, man, survival is a damn win at this point, man.
Of oil,
especially after
and
we see how Gaza
liquefied
looks,
natural.
We can look right at Gaza and see what a win looks like, man. Damn survival, not being a parking lot, man. Like that's what a win is, man. Honestly, survival.
Gas, on which many countries, including American allies, are totally dependent. Europe, South Korea, Japan, not to mention India and China. They need it. They need energy. As conservatives are often fond of pointing out, energy creates civilization. Without it, things ground to a halt. That's just true, and renewables cannot take up the slack. Sorry. So if that strait, that choke point, and again, if you haven't looked at it on a map, it's on the eastern end of the Persian Gulf, the Arabian Gulf, whatever you want to call it, that body of water through which energy flows by ship.
See, you said what happened to minding our business, Southern Breeze? That's what it was. We were minding our business on this side of the world. Venezuela, looking at Greenland, Trudeau and Mark Carney together, shit like that. Having, what's the woman's name? Claudia down there. Claudia down there with the cartels, getting her together. Malay, what's the guy named Malay over there in Argentina? All that shit was getting it together, right? But we thought it was because we was gonna mind our business on this side of the world. Turns out that it was a few things we had to do before then, which was make sure Iran didn't get these nukes. So I'm assuming after Iran, gets out of the way, then we got to go deal with what was it they say, Cuba. Then I think Israel said Turkey. So I guess we're not gonna be minding our business, Southern Breeze. I thought that was what was finna go on.
Whoever controls that has a lot of power. Now, as of today, or as of 2 weeks ago anyway, the United States effectively controlled it. That was the other reason we had all those military bases in the Persian Gulf. Another was to protect Israel, our only real ally in the Gulf. But a competing reason, maybe the primary reason, hard to know, certainly a big reason, was to protect the flow of energy through the Straits of Hormuz. And now the U.S. has been, unfortunately, tragically unable to guarantee the passage of energy through that strait. Now, let's hope that changes. But if the Iranian regime is not toppled in this conflict...
You said you got a question for me, buddy. United States first or Israel first? Man, listen, bro. I've never left America. I don't know, bro. I've never left America, man. So of course it's America first, America over all that shit, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. What do you want me to say? Like what? America over Mexico, America over Canada, America over Israel, America over Africa, America over Brazil, America over Australia, America over what the fuck, China, America over Russia, America over Ukraine, America over Sudan. Like, what do you want me to say? All I know is America, bro. Like, what are we talking about here?
There's a pretty good chance that they will have control. Who else would? American bases have been degraded, in some cases destroyed. This war is so expensive, even now, less than 2 weeks in, it's hard to see how we could afford to expand our presence there. And then on a political level, how much will is there for that? We got to send more troops to the Persian Gulf. So as noted, right after this broke out, one of the whole purposes, one of the goals of this exercise from the perspective of Israel was to get the United States out of the Middle East. So Israel could be the dominant regional power, the hegemon, so it could expand its territory without getting hassled by the U.S. State Department, without asking permission from the U.S. president. And so Israel could control it because Israel sees itself, and is actually, just factually, an emerging power. It's a nuclear armed power. And from their perspective, like, why wouldn't we control the region? And so that's their goal. But one impediment to that is Iran, which is opposed to Israel's existence and has been funding proxies to fight against Israel, most notably Hezbollah in...
See, I wasn't celebrating that shit, Sonny. I'm going to be honest with you. From the onset of this shit, man, I'm just going to be all the way honest with you, Chad. I said we should mind our business, man, when it comes to all that shit, man. Straight up, Chad, we should mind our business, bruh. I mean, damn, bro. If y'all want to be honest, it's a little checks and balances and shit going on over here, man. For real. I mean, y'all don't think Israel want to blow that thing to shreds, man? Turn it to a parking lot, let the nukes go, man. Trump's fingers itching for a nuke too, man. Putin really probably don't give up because he's just gonna start nuking Ukraine. It's like, man, this is what I'm on some shit like mind our business, man. It was supposed to be mutually assured destruction, right? That shit what's about to get ready to go on. That's why they keep touting Armageddon. Like, I don't know if y'all know what the Armageddon's supposed to be, bro. But the shit's not supposed to be peaches and cream, bro. It's not supposed to, end times are not supposed to be peaches and cream, man. It's supposed to be a lot of death, a lot of destruction, and a lot of fire, man. And these are accelerationists. How long have I been telling y'all what we're dealing with? OGs to the channel, if y'all have been here for 2 years, I've been telling y'all we are dealing with accelerationists. Nobody wanted to believe me. Now it's just everybody's talking about it. Now it's too obvious. But when I was saying that we're dealing with accelerationists here, nobody gave a damn. Oh, that's just Plug. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. His do-rag's on too tight.
Lebanon, but also Hamas, the Houthis in Yemen, et cetera, et cetera. So you got to get rid of the Iranian leadership, probably just turn the country into a chaotic civil war, because that suits Israel's purposes, and you got to get the U.S. out. So they've already done a lot to achieve the second goal, get the U.S. out. It's hard to see how the United States can guarantee safe passage of shipping through the Straits of Hormuz after this. We can't now. And if the Iranian regime remains, they're the ones the rest of the world is going to have to negotiate with. So just to be totally clear, Japan, South Korea, China, India, the European nations, 40% of the heat in British homes comes from LNG from Qatar, moved by boat. So big countries, some of them allies, some of them rivals, have a structural interest in this region. And it's not going away. So in the end, it seems possible, if not likely, that a resolution to the core economic question here, which is shipping, will be resolved by those countries directly talking to Iran. So China, India come in and they negotiate with Iran to open the straits. Think about that for a second. Does that diminish or enhance Iran's power? Well, you're negotiating directly with China, India, South Korea, Japan, Europe. You're more powerful than you were when this started. And that's a huge embarrassment.
Tucker, I'm just going to be honest with you. Tucker, this is where we have a difference, man. Before they go like that, man, they will send that bad boy that Trump just shot off the coast of California that can carry 20 warheads, man. Before they can see the loss like that and let Iran deal directly with the China, South Korea, and Indian on this oil and shit, man, I think that motherfuckers need to flee the area. I'm sorry, man. Plug, they're gonna be displaced. That's their homeland. That's their sovereignty. Listen, man, these people will cleanse that bitch, man. These people will eradicate them folks from over there before they let some shit like that go on, man. Are y'all seeing the same shit I'm seeing? Are we watching the same? We're talking about America, Hiroshima. Right? Man, listen, chat, I'm sorry, man. This is just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. Before they let some shit like that go on, man, motherfuckers will be moving off into Iraq and some other places around the world because it's going to be a big red X on Iran. I'm talking about a big red X, bruh.
Embarrassment to the United States. It's a huge reduction in American power. We were not able to force our will on this critical part of the world. We couldn't keep the peace. In fact, we shattered the peace. And we weren't able to restore order once we did. And guess who did? Oh, our other...
You talking about if you believe in the Bible, what about the asteroid that's supposed to hit the Earth? A third of the plants, animals, and sea life died. Well, shit, man. Maybe asteroid rockets, man. This shit's coming from way over. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Wherever, man. Call it what you want, man. Kaboom. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what you want me to tell you, Dorsey. I don't know if we watching the same shit here, man. I don't know if you're seeing the same clouds of smoke and big pillars and red flames and shit going on that I'm seeing, Dorsey. Now, I'm not over there. The TV could be a lot. But if we're to take what we seeing, you know what I'm saying, as factual, Dorsey, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Talking about a half of the third plant, animal, and sea life dies. Well, let's take this shit to the Middle East now. I understand we have a whole globe and shit, man, but let's just take this shit to the Middle East, man. It's not a lot of plants, animals, and sea life over that motherfucker anyway. It's not gonna take a lot for 1/3 of that shit to be gone. This shit is desert and dirt and mountains and shit, man. It's not gonna take a lot, man. 2 or 3 of them bad boys go off over there, man. It's nothing. The grass won't grow for 100 years over there, man. The grass just won't fucking grow.
They're global rivals. That seems very likely. But from a regional perspective, this is a huge deal to the Gulf states, which have just been bombed for 12 days and really damaged in some cases by Iran. But the biggest problem this poses is for Israel, because Iran is a sincere opponent of Israel. At this point, more so than ever. It has been for a long time. They say it openly. They're one of the few countries in the world that opposes Israel's so-called right to exist. Israel has every reason to regard Iran as an enemy. Iran is an enemy of Israel, and again, now more than ever.
Listen, I'm going to tell you like this. For all of this maritime dominant shit that we've been talking about over the last few months, there shouldn't be a fucking boat in the water carrying some drones towards California. I don't want to hear that shit, bro. I don't want to hear that shit, man. All this maritime dominance and shit, man. That motherfucker, listen, man, they better sink that bitch in the Pacific, bro. I'm talking about shouldn't even get 1,000, 2,000 miles off the coast, man. Don't even play no, just like they blowing them boats up down there in Venezuela, them whatever we want to say, fentanyl boat, weed boat, fisher boat, whatever, man. How the fuck we gonna let some come to California and launch some drones, man? It needs to be smoke. I'm talking about smoke coming off that boat. What are we talking about the same America? We're talking about some boats coming to the same America, right? Where over the last 6 months, we've been knocking every boat coming off the coast of Venezuela and Cuba and all of that, man. In the Caribbean, we've been knocking all them boats off, but we just gonna let a boat waltz up to Cali and let some drones off the damn coast? Crazy. Y'all crazy as hell.
So if Iran emerges with its leadership intact, with a leadership that might be even more anti-Israel than it was 3 weeks ago, why wouldn't it be? We just killed their leader.
Southern said this won't age well. It'll be a damn false flag, bro. I'm just gonna say it. Fuck it, man. Damn, I'm already shadow banned. It is what it is, man. If they let some fucking drones push up on California, man, do your research, Chad. I'm just gonna say, look into that shit, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you. If we know where the Ayatollah and shit is at, we know where the next Ayatollah was at, then we already done damaged the new Ayatollah. They talking about they bombed 25 people that was trying to have that meeting in Qatar and shit, and y'all want to believe that they gonna let some fucking boats come off the coast of California and release some drones? Oh, come on, Chad, come on now.
86-year-old religious leader and his family.
That shit happens is because somebody. I'm not gonna say who or what, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna say it's a big conspiracy. I'm gonna say somebody just didn't give a fuck. Somebody wasn't on their job. We're gonna put it like that.
How does Israel live with that? And if Israel doesn't live with that, what are its options? If you start to think about this for about 2 minutes, it gets bracing. It gets a little scary. It's hard to know exactly how much damage the IRGC, the Iranians, have done to Israel because there's so much censorship. But we know, we can conclude fairly confidently.
That's what I'm saying, Dorsey. Unless the cartel starts building drones and letting them bitches off, man, that's about the only way, man. That's about the only way. We're talking about coming off the coast of Cali through the Pacific. Now, if they trying to ship that shit over, it's over with, man. The cartel's literally going to have to start building them hoes. Now, if the cartel starts building drones and shit, Chad, it might be all bad. It might be all bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna be honest with you. But bringing them on a boat when we're talking about maritime dominance, it just behooves me. It's a little crazy.
From available information that the port of Haifa, which is the most important port in Israel, controlled by the Chinese, I think, actually, interesting, and Tel Aviv, the second biggest city in Israel, have been hammered, and there has been widespread infrastructure destruction, and there's been loss of life of some kind.
Then y'all know the Olympics finna get ready to come out there to Cali. They can't have this shit going on with the Olympics, man. They can't have it. And they already talking about building a new FIFA Cup over there in Gaza, Chad. That they turned Gaza to a parking lot. Now they finna get a new soccer stadium, bro. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Crazy. And then we have the Olympics coming to LA. They need to get all this national security shit together, man. One thing about America is America gonna get that chicken, and America's gonna try to look good on the world stage. So if y'all for 1 second think that America's finna try to have the Olympics up in California, you're crazy as hell. Crazy as hell. Crazy as hell.
We don't know, but the video that seems real, they're hurting. And the Israelis have been dealing with this kind of stuff for a long time. It's not the first time their cities have been shelled. They've been shelled a lot over the years. And so their tolerance for this kind of stuff is much higher than it would be in the United States. If you shelled Chicago, people here have no experience of that, and understandably they'd be, completely freaked out by it. Israel, they've got a little stronger immune system, this kind of stuff, because they're already fighting a 7-front war. On the other hand, there's only so much that any country can take, particularly a small country that is riven by all kinds.
That's what I'm saying. You talking about drones can cause fires, right? Drones can deliver, whatever. I know what you said, but that shit that was going on back then. Listen, didn't Pete Hegseth just test out a damn experimental laser on a damn birthday party balloon that he thought was a drone? The fuck? We got lasers and shit, chat. Like, this is not 19, 55, 1956 and shit, bruh. We're talking about lasers, man. The little shit that we was growing up, man. Come on, chat. We're talking about lasers, bruh. Come on, man. Dorsey, man. If they put out a drone and then cause a brush fire, man, it's because somebody wasn't on their job, man. I'm just going to be honest with you. With the technology we got, the AI we got, the damn lasers and shit, man, somebody just wasn't on their fucking job, man. I'm just going to be honest.
Kinds of internal divisions. Israel is not a united country at all. And its leader, while he's very popular with Ben Shapiro, is not universally loved in Israel at all. So Israel is not entirely stable internally, and it's absorbing a lot of punishment for a small country. But let's say that punishment accelerates. Let's say the Iranians decide we're going to really hurt Israel, and we're not going to limit it to Haifa and Tel Aviv. We're going to hit Jerusalem, where the holy sites are. Now, they're not apparently doing that right now, at least that we know of. And again, it's hard to know exactly what's going on because of the censorship, but it doesn't seem like they're pounding Jerusalem. But they could. And at that point, what? What happens?
Chat, hit the like button.
What if Israel and its main protector in the world, the United States, starts running low on advanced munitions and critically on missile defense? Well, that's entirely possible. There have been widespread reports that the United States, as the backstop is.
Yeah, chat, I'm at the Olympics, like I'm at the Olympics stretching and everything, like I'm finna run 100-meter dash, man. Chat, I'm telling y'all, man, I'm at the Olympics, man. I'm at the Olympics like Snoop Dogg was last time. Trying to tell you, chat, I'm at the Olympics like Snoop was, man.
Israel, its main protector, is running low on those munitions. Now, why is that? Well, because we expended a lot of them, both advanced munitions and missile defense, in the last conflict that we backstopped Israel in June. And we were already low then because we sent a lot of munitions to Ukraine. Now, why'd we do that? What was our critical interest in Ukraine? Well, at the time, they told us we have to do this because it is totally immoral and a violation of our sacred norms when a larger country just grabs the territory of a smaller country. Post-Venezuela, it's kind of harder.
Well, Dorsey, you gonna sell my mixtape too? You said you're gonna be at the Olympics selling bootleg tickets and T-shirts. Well, can you sell my mixtape? You know what I'm saying? Just go ahead, take you about 200 of these mixtapes. You know what I'm saying? If they don't want to pay you for it, just give it away.
To make that case with a straight face. So looking back, you got to expect a lot of the cheerleaders for the war against Russia might feel a little bit silly, might feel like the moral case they were standing on was kicked out from underneath them, because it was. But whatever, excuse me, whatever you think about why we were there and the wisdom of it, the truth is, at the demand of the very same people who told us we had to get into this Iran war, those very same people demanded, you may recall 4 years ago, that we get into the war against Russia and that we expend billions and.
So I'm just sitting here. Did y'all hear about the coup? They're saying that Putin just got rid of one of his high-ranking military generals under a suspected coup. They're saying that they've been saying Putin's been maybe sick possibly for a while, but they're saying that Putin uncovered a coup over the last few weeks, and none of the mobile cell services work in the center of Moscow now. for like the last week, all of the internet, I guess, cell phone, mobile has been down in Moscow, in the center of Moscow, because Putin believes there is a suspected coup against him.
Billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, and critical munitions we could use to defend ourselves in the fight against Vladimir Putin because he was Hitler. Again, things look very different right now. But at the time, everybody in D.C. in both parties bought that story. The Democrats were all for it, the Republicans were all for it.
I'm not gonna lie, Chad. In Moscow's not the fucking place to be getting called accused of a coup. I'm just gonna be honest with you, Chad. Picture somebody you know in Moscow getting accused of a coup. It's over with, man. Like, what? Man, they finna probably do some crazy shit to that man, bro. They're probably about to do some real crazy shit to that man, bro. Getting accused of a coup in wartime Moscow, bro, is crazy. I'm not gonna lie, Chad. That's crazy.
For it. This isn't the first bipartisan regime change war we've tried to fight. It's one of many. And in the course of that war, we expended a lot of critical munitions that we might be able to guarantee Israel's safety with now, but it looks like, from all available reports, we're running low. In fact, we're getting some, apparently, anti-drone technology from Ukraine. Savor that irony for a moment, if you would. So whatever the cause, and there'll be, one hopes, time enough for finger-pointing and blame and reverse engineering in an attempt to understand what we just went through. The fact remains, it seems unlikely that the United States will be able to guarantee the safety of Israel. We can't guarantee it now, despite a real effort to. So what does that mean?
Oh shit, Chad, I forgot Tucker Carlson did go interview Putin. Did he go to Moscow? Tucker Carlson really been in the trenches, Chad. I forgot that's how Tucker Carlson really took all the way off. That's how his Twitter got so big, because Elon kept reposting him after he went to Moscow. I think he went to Moscow, but he went over there in the trenches and interviewed Putin, man. That man Tucker Carlson been in the trenches, bro.
Well, it means that at some stage, it is possible that Israel will feel it has no choice. You hope they feel they have no choice. They're not doing it for fun. But in any case, they might have to resort to a nuclear strike on Iran, which would be a tragedy for the people of Iran, most of whom have nothing to do with any of this, who would get vaporized. It would be a tragedy for the region, which would be poisoned by radioactive fallout. And it would be a tragedy for the world because the last taboo would be shattered. Truly the last taboo. You can literally castrate yourself and call yourself a woman and you get applauded. There are very few taboos left. Using nuclear weapons is the last remaining big taboo. And once that is gone, we know from the elimination of other taboos that things change really fast. Oh, it already happened. I think I'll try it.
I want to know what's next, Chad. Like, where do we go from here? What's next? We've seen warfare has changed. We are in modern warfare right now. Trying to stop Iran from getting a nuke. I think that this thing goes nuclear. I hate to say it. But what's next?
And you could very easily see, either quickly or over time,
These are accelerationists, Chad. You have the old guard and the new guard. They're both accelerationists. One wants to burn this shit to the ground on the back of a religion. That's the old guard. That's the old guard, Chad. That's the financiers. That's the old money. It's the people that's been doing this shit for years and years, hundreds of years, thousands if you want to go that far. Then you have the new guard, the technocrats, who want to enslave us through technology. Did you guys notice that not one person said anything? No governor said shit. When Trump put that executive order down on AI, banning all state regulation of AI, nobody really said anything. They were still talking about immigration. They were still talking about Somali fraud and shit. Nobody gave a fuck about the AI regulation. or sold out. Either way, Chad. These are accelerationists. It's just about who gets the
a series of nuclear
who
exchanges.
gets to build back better. Kamala said, build back better, right? That's all it is. They're gonna burn this shit to the ground regardless. Regardless. It's who's gonna build back better. Is it gonna be the old guard or the fucking technocrats?
Changes that kill most people on Earth. So that would be a huge deal. For the first time in 80 years, a nuclear weapon would be used. And it's by the way, not an attack on Israel, to note this, though they have been very eager to threaten it in the past. Their threshold is much lower than most people's, but still you can kind of understand it. If Israel gets targeted for destruction by Iran and the United States isn't there to reliably protect Israeli cities, they could use nukes. And then we could see truly the destruction of a lot of the world. So you don't want that to happen. In fact, you have to stop that from happening. You have to decelerate. But how do you do that? And again, without too much gloating, because this is no time to gloat or say I told you so, this is actually one of the reasons that some people argued against this conflict in the first place, because like all wars, much easier to get in than to get out. So there are reports today, which again, could be lies, probably. Again, everyone lies in war, everyone has incentive to, but there are reports that don't seem totally crazy that envoys from the United States have suggested that our country might be open to some kind of ceasefire. Like, hey, let's settle down for a second. And the Iranians, whether they're telling the truth or not, but the fact that even go to the trouble of lying about this tells you something, have said, no, we're not doing that. Why would we agree to a ceasefire when your previous diplomatic efforts were clearly dishonest?
Yes, it is the technocrats. And the thing about it is techno slaves is exactly it. Because once it starts going from hardware to hardware, right now, it's different kind of things, hacks, they're talking about the Neuralink chips and those things. But once it starts going hardware to hardware, it's over with, Chad. It's over with. They're building all the new cars with kill switches in them. You seen Cash for Clunkers. Y'all don't remember Cash for Junk Cars, Cash for Clunkers, Cash for Junk Cars. Everybody wanted to tow that car off the yard, perfectly running cars, Cash for Clunkers. And what were they doing? They were putting that rubber inside of the engine block, man. They putting rubber inside of the engine block, perfectly good engines. You couldn't resell the engine. You couldn't take the engine out. They made you put that silicone putty shit in it, man. Why? It's all leading up to today, man. Shit it makes so much sense, bro. Hindsight is 2020.
And didn't work in any case. We couldn't trust you. Is diplomacy itself the search for a peaceful revolution to violent conflict? Is that even a category anymore?
Double tap the screen.
Who knows? But apparently the Iranians have said, no, we're not interested in a ceasefire. And they're probably bluffing too, of course. Everything's a bluff. This is the Middle East. But the fact that they're coming out and saying that does point to a fundamental problem that, propaganda aside, is totally real. And that is the United States is not wholly in charge of what happens next. We can, of course, influence it, definitely. But if you're a middle-aged American, speaking for myself, and you've lived your entire life in a country that called the shots globally, a country that issued blue passports to you that were basically your amulet of protection. No one could really mess with you when you have an American passport because the United States set the terms for global trade. It had the greatest military. In the end, no one's really going to mess with America. And if we want to shut down a war or start a war, we can. And there are no existential consequences to us. We're not going to get blown off the map for starting a war, especially with small primitive countries. So we did it a lot. But this is the first conflict of our lifetimes where the United States is not.
This video, Tucker put this video out last night. Put this video out last night.
Not fully in charge of what happens next. And that's because there are not just one, but two other players in this calculation. And as noted, the first is Iran. And they fully understand that all they need to do is survive. And by surviving, they become much more powerful than they were when this started. And they have all kinds of other reasons to want to continue.
That's crazy. I haven't watched this, but isn't that what I began the show off saying, that all Iran has to do is survive? if they survive, you know, that's when they pretty much big dogs over there, man. They're Shia Muslims. Iraq is Shia Muslims. They're surrounded by Sunnis everywhere. If they get America to leave, I mean, fuck, bro. Like, they're going to be big dogs over there.
Continue, the most obvious being, and you're not allowed to say this, but it's true.
Unless it's a parking lot. And that's why I'm saying, that's why I keep going back. I know y'all hate to hear me doom and gloom plug. It's all doom and gloom plug, but shit, man. That's why I think they might turn that to a parking lot, honestly.
Is that unconditional surrender leaves you open to who knows what. And most non-degraded people, most people with any self-respect of any religion in any part of the country, understand that you can never unconditionally surrender, because in so doing, you've given up your humanity. You can't do that. Would you unconditionally surrender your family to someone else? No, of course you wouldn't. Who would do that? And if you would do that, then you don't deserve to have a family or be the head of household, because you're degraded. You have no self-respect and you have no real love for those you're in charge of. It's really that simple. This is not a question of Islam versus Christianity, the West versus East. It's a question of the way people are. Unconditional surrender is a lot to ask of anybody. It took a nuclear bomb to get the Japanese to do it. It took complete destruction for the Germans to agree to it. So if we're asking for that unconditional surrender, the Iranians understand perfectly well the stakes, and they kind of can't give up. So that's the problem.
No, because that one dude from the Council of 12 has called for jihad, man. They call for martyrdom and jihad, man. It's their religious duty to die in this war right now, man, and to take some with them. So unconditional surrender in the middle of one of the Council of 12 calling for jihad is crazy, bro. Like, this is, I'm just saying, Chad, that shit doesn't go together.
There. But the other more unusual problem, really without precedent, is that we are fighting this war in partnership with another country, Israel. Now, to those who say, well, we've done this before, you know, we had coalition ventures, peacekeeping forces in Yugoslavia and Afghanistan and Iraq. Yeah, true. But none of those coalition partners had anything approaching decision-making authority over the mission. It was the United States and its allies or satellite states or countries we have troops in a lot of cases. And they were tagging along in the same way the South Koreans did in Vietnam. A lot of South Korean troops in Vietnam. Most people don't remember that. Why'd they do that? Because we protected them from invasion by the Chinese and the North Koreans in 1953. So they were grateful, and they accompanied us to Vietnam for a brief period.
You said, sir, are you listening? Would you unconditionally give up your family? No. What I'm saying is that it is a religious duty as well now. So when we're calling for unconditional surrender, and these folks, not only are they fighting for their sovereignty, they're fighting under a religious pretext as well, which is jihad. It's your duty to die for this. It's your duty. So now we're dealing with a country of 90 million people. Let's just say a third of those people in the rural areas feel like that. A third of them. That's still 30 million people that's ready to die. It's their religious duty, man. How do you deal with that? Do you think America's really about to let Iran deal with China, South Korea, and India directly on this oil? I mean, maybe. It's a possibility. We got Venezuela and shit going to Cuba next. I mean, it's a possibility. But that's just not how the tale of the tape has worked out. It looks like we go get in folks' business when it comes to that petrodollar. It looks like when it comes to that petrodollar, we're known to go get in folks' business.
As a gesture of gratitude, but they were never in charge of the plans in Vietnam. Westmoreland was in charge. LBJ was in charge. Nixon was in charge. This country has not, at least since the Second World War, handed any measure of operational control in a wartime theater to a foreign power. And why is that? not because we don't have allies or people we like or people we share common goals with. We've got a lot of those, or we had a lot of those. But because no two countries' interests are identical. Even identical twins, if you spend enough time around them, are different in ways you can perceive. No two anything are exactly the same. And nations, which are complicated, don't even have that many points of intersection in their interests. There's a lot that separates the national interests of two separate countries. So if you enter a war co-joined with another country, you're going to reach a point very soon where your interests diverge from those of your partner. And in a war, the stakes are very, very high. So you would never do that, ever. If you cared about your country, why would you do that? And of all the things that historians will reveal in the aftermath of this war, the one that some of us should be paying the closest attention to is who made that decision?
See, that's the thing, Timmy. You said y'all afraid to fight anyone who can actually fight back because we knows how this shit ends, man. It's like, come on, Timmy. It's like, I know that I got a big 40 over here, right? I know that if I fight you and shit escalates, I might end up pulling this 40 out, right? And shit might not go the way it was initially gonna go. So yeah, sometimes that's why people who be really crazy, they always be like, just leave me alone. I'm not trying to leave me alone. They act a little timid because they know how far they'll go. They know how far they'll go, man.
Decided it was okay for the United States to be yoked to a foreign nation in the middle of a war with a country of 92 million people. That is one of the craziest things this country's ever done, and the people who decided to do it should be exposed and they should be penalized. Because that single decision will cost, unfortunately, this is likely to be true, more American lives. It may extend this far past a point where the American interest is served. And by the way, we are approaching the point at which we get no more returns from being engaged in this war. If you know that you're going to negotiate your way out of something in the end, in other words, if you're not going to destroy each other with nuclear weapons, demand total abject surrender, but if you think there's even a possibility you're going to have to negotiate your way out of something, you want to do it at the apogee of your power, at your most powerful point. You don't want to do it when your power is obviously decreasing. Like, say, when you start to run out of weapons because you sent them all to Ukraine because Ben Shapiro demanded you do that. And why wouldn't you want to negotiate when your weakness is obvious? Because you'll get worse terms. The United States has a true national interest in controlling or having a say in the flow of energy out of the Persian Gulf through the Straits of Hormuz. If you could narrow down our interests to just one, we have many interests, but just one, it's that. It's very important for the United States to have some say in that. And if we negotiate our way out when we're weaker rather than stronger, we will have...
Man, I don't remember Trump saying he was smarter than all the generals. Chat, press 1 in the chat if Trump said he was smarter than all the generals. Press 2 if you don't remember Trump saying that. I don't remember that, Dorsey.
Have less say. And if we negotiate our way out in humiliation, God forbid that doesn't happen, we will have almost no say at all. And so it is very important to begin those conversations. Now, if you think there's a possibility we could negotiate our way out, if we don't have to go to nukes. And let's hope that we do believe that. So what stands in the way? Well, again, as noted, the Iranians, they've got to be reasonable and willing to bend a little bit, and that's not easy because they're not that reasonable and they're inflamed right now. But it's not just the Iranians, it's Israel too.
He said that he's...
And from the very first day, Israeli priorities have taken precedent over American priorities. American national interest has been pushed down, and in its place has been elevated Israeli national interest. And what specifically are we talking about here? Think about the target list. So the first big strike of the war eliminated the Ayatollah, who was 86 years old and not simply the head of state technically, but the head of a religion, Shia Islam. Apparently had prostate cancer.
Right here it says 7 years ago, it says he would have been a good general. I can't see where he says that he's smarter than the generals.
And was totally willing to be martyred. So that alone should tell you, wait a second, why would we kill that guy? He may be bad. He may be the most evil person in the world. Mark Levin tells us he's Hitler. Great. Or bad. We're against that. We're against Hitler.
Listen, Chad, you said, bro, that took 5 seconds to verify. Listen, sometimes I like to interact with my chat friars. Sometimes I like to ask y'all questions so y'all can respond back and we have a good experience. Of course, I'm on a laptop. I could have typed it up and looked, man, but what fun is that? You know, let's get some back and forth. Somebody asked me to pull it up. Okay, I'll pull it up. Damn, let me run the show, G.
But killing him will have what effect? 60 seconds, predict. Oh, maybe it will unite the country on religious grounds and make the opposition to the United States and Israel stronger. Maybe it's also a kind of point of no return after which you can't really negotiate your way out. You killed our religious leader. When was the last time America killed a religious leader? It's not a defense of the Ayatollah. Sorry, Ben Shapiro. It's not a defense of Shia Islam. It's a defense of American.
All right. So what do I type in? I'm really not finding exactly what he said. I'm not seeing. It said nobody knows more than Trump about anything. I seen that one. Nobody knows more than Trump about anything. Is that what y'all talking about? He said, and if I don't like somebody, I'm going to fire him right on the spot when he was talking about the generals. I'm going to be in a meeting with the generals and the admirals and with the leaders, and if I don't like somebody, I'm going to fire him on the spot. Damn.
National interests. And if you're having trouble remembering the last time we killed a religious leader, it's because we haven't killed any religious leaders, at least not openly, because we don't want to start religious wars, because they're hard to fight and very hard to resolve. And how is that good for us? How is that good for our access to LNG and oil from the Gulf? Tell me, Ben Shapiro, can you find the Gulf on a map?
Thank you, Southern.
No. So why did we do that? Now, we don't know exactly why we did that. Maybe there were American military planners who thought sincerely, hey, I've got an idea. Let's kill the Ayatollah.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Chad. Trump is unhinged, bro. Like, Trump real deal is unhinged. Like, I don't know whether to, like, it's like, we fucking knew this though, you know, like it's just he went unhinged on some whole other shit. Like we knew he was gonna be unhinged, just not in this way, you know, like damn, Trump is really fucking wildin', bro. Wildin', bro. Wildin', bro. Like, I don't know, Chad. Like, this shit is crazy.
Then all the liberal elements in the country will rise up. They won't actually discover their latent Shia Islam and rally around an 86-year-old man who was killed along with his family. Maybe there were actually American military planners who thought that, but more likely, there were Israeli strategists who realized that once the United States kills the Ayatollah, kind of can't get out. We're all in.
Crazy.
And you also got to suspect that Israeli priorities may have informed our tragic decision to bomb, and it was revealed today it was, in fact, tragically, the U.S. military, by mistake, bombing a girls' school attached to an Iranian naval base where the daughters of naval officers went to school, and over 100 of them were killed. Well, that's just terrible, okay? America doesn't do stuff like that, and actually doesn't. And the times that we have done it, we've apologized and prosecuted the people who did it. When civilians are killed in large numbers and it becomes public, the United States military, going back hundreds of years, has felt a moral obligation, being a Western, not an Eastern country, to apologize for the death of innocents and punish the people responsible. It's happened a lot. Because we don't do.
I couldn't vote, chat. So, I mean, it is what it is. At that point in time, man, I'm going to be honest with y'all, chat. I probably wouldn't have voted if I could in the last election because it's been so long since I had voter rights. You know, now that I got voter rights back, it's a different story because I'm more into politics. But, you know, it's like, I couldn't vote, you know, and I've been, the last election I voted in was 2000, and the only election I voted in was like 2012. Was it 2012? Yeah, I think that's the only election I voted in was 2012.
Do things like that. Israel does do things like that. Israel sets off pagers in the pockets of people they can't identify. They're just out there. They're going to go off and they'll kill some terrorists and maybe some others, which they did. And that's the price they're willing to pay. That's not a price that we're willing to pay because we're not Israel. So you have to wonder, like, how did this happen? So the U.S. government is saying this was a tragedy. It was a mistake. Totally believable. It was a case of bad targeting. Where did the targeting come from? That's the question. Where do we get those targeting numbers? Oh, we don't know, of course, but it's worth asking. Where do we get those numbers? And by the way, where do we get the intel upon which we made our assumptions that we should go into Iran and that there was a huge and anxious group of liberal-minded Iranians who wanted to throw off the shackles of theocracy, and that just a few choice bombs would unleash the desire for freedom within, and they would do the work for us and affect regime change themselves, and that from among them would arise a pro-Western leader. Why did we think that was true? It turned out not to be true, unfortunately. Well, it may not surprise you to learn that almost all of our signals information, our SIGINT, out of Iran, is translated by our ally and partner in this war, Israel. Now, that's not to suggest that the Israelis...
Yeah, Fries, I had lost my voting rights around then. You know, I lost my voting rights pretty early, Chad. No cap, pretty damn early.
Israelis who have a lot of Farsi speakers among them, because there are a lot of Iranians who moved to Israel, Persian Jews who moved to Israel. It's not to suggest that the Israeli government would in any way be tainting or withholding or mistranslating or skewing this electronic intelligence to get us into a war that doesn't serve our interests. I mean, really, who would do that? But it raises the question of incentives. So just to be clear, Israel has an incentive for the United States to stay in this conflict and make sure that Iran doesn't win, because if Iran wins, that's an actual existential threat to Israel, for real. Ben Shapiro's already running an existential threat to Israel. Okay. Its nuclear program was not an existential threat to Israel. An Iran that emerges intact after this conflict is an existential threat to Israel. That is true. That's not an overstatement. So they have every incentive to keep us in. And to...
You said there's so much better people to listen to than Tucker. That's why I keep saying you lean right. Well, all you listen to is people on the left. You know what I'm saying? So who are you to judge me? I don't like listening to those people. You know what I'm saying? Like Brian Tyler, he's cool. I'll watch a video of him here or there. Who else? Don Lemon, you know. I really just can't fucking watch Don Lemon. Who else? Oh, there's this one guy, I think he ran for Senate. He does the TikTok lives and he debates people. He's a Democrat. I like watching him. He's pretty cool to watch. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna watch Tucker. I'm gonna watch what's going crazy right now. Tucker dropped this last night. It's at like 500K. Like shit, it's in the algorithm. That's what we watching it. People want to hear what Tucker gotta say, man.
To tell us lies about the nature of the threat in Iran, about what they think is going to happen next, about chatter they pick up on the ground in Iran. They have every incentive to skew the SIGINT in their favor. Now, it's not even an attack on Israel, by the way. The second you join in an enterprise like this with a foreign country, you are certain to get problems like this. And by the way, to be fair, trying to be fair, the Israelis apparently are a little bit frustrated too, because they look over, they've got a whole set of priorities that are very important to them, and we don't share them all. Ground troops would be a perfect example. They would like ground troops. Flat out, they would like ground troops. Why wouldn't they? Our ground troops, not theirs. They're busy invading southern Lebanon and cleansing Lebanon, including Christian villages in Lebanon, killing a priest. Now, why would Israel be invading Lebanon right now? And they've lost people doing it, by the way. It's been a slog for them. Well, strictly speaking, it's because Iran activated Hezbollah, which is a proxy for Iran, in southern Lebanon. They started attacking northern Israel. Okay. Who could have seen that coming? Just because they killed the leader of Hezbollah, Nasrallah, a year ago doesn't mean it doesn't exist anymore. Of course it does. But the effect of this is not attacking anybody, just noting it, is the United States is all in, trying to defeat Iran, push back these attacks on all of our allies in the Gulf and on Israel. And Israel is taking this opportunity to grab more land in southern Lebanon. So we're fighting Iran while they're taking over contiguous land from one of their neighbors and cleansing it of Arabs. Huh. How is that in our interest? Why would we want to take credit for that? Why would we be in favor of that? I mean, that's a problem for Israel to deal with. But that's what they're doing. And of course, that's what they were going to do, because Israel is acting in what it claims is its own interest, or what Benjamin Netanyahu believes is in his own interest, because we don't have the same interests. And that was very obvious in the first hours after this, when the prime minister.
Who the hell is this he's interviewing?
Of Israel, in his, I think, first remarks on the new war with Iran, said two things. One, I've been waiting for this for 40 years. This is part of a pre-existing plan, totally disconnected from Iran's modern nuclear program, which was not in the same condition 40 years ago. If you've been thinking about something for 40 years, you're probably not describing an imminent threat. Hard to be imminent for 40 years. This is an effort to expand the territory and the influence of Israel in the Middle East. Of course, again, not an attack on Israel, it's just a fact. That's the first thing he said, revealing his motive, just saying it out loud.
Unless we're gonna be there for a while. Now, if they're gonna secure the Strait of Hormuz and control the flow of goods through there, then that's the interest. Whether we like it, whether we hate it, whether we say it's justified or not, 20% of energy, I think Trump's looking around like, yeah, we might need to, put that shit in the tuck right quick.
One wonderful thing about Israelis is, unlike Americans, they're less circumspect. Just kind of say it. And the second thing he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's about right. He said in today's Torah portion, we read about the Amalekites, about Amalek. And that would be a direct reference to 1 Samuel 15, in which God commands the Israelites to kill the Amalekites. All of them, every single one of them, to commit genocide against Amalek. The men, the women, the children, the infants, is almost verbatim quote, and the animals. The camels and the sheep. All of them. Kill them all. Wipe them off the face of the earth. And in fact, God punishes the Israelites for not following his instructions and sparing some. So whatever you think of that, whether it's your theology or not, your religion or not, it almost doesn't matter. In a geopolitical context, no one has talked that way in 80 years. No national leader has stood on camera and said, our goal is genocide. And not like semi-modern Nerf genocide, where you kill a lot of people, make the rest of them leave, but actual genocide, where you kill everybody and their children, quote, and their infants and their animals. You erase any evidence they ever existed, period.
Who the fuck said that?
It's 1 Samuel 15, in case you're interested in reading it. And it is interesting, and it's of course part of Judaism, it's part of Christianity, it's the Old Testament. So it's not an attack on the verse, but to invoke that verse in the middle of a hot war and respond to it by saying, this is what we're doing today. Amalek is Iran, is to call for genocide against your opponent. Now, without even judging that, it's worth noting that is not in the interest of the United States. Despite what the president said today about eliminating the country with nuclear weapons, that is not in the interest of the United States. It's not the desire of the American people to commit genocide against the Iranians. Without even considering what the downstream effects of that might be, profound, without even considering that, ask yourself, is that why we're in this war? Because we think the Iranians are Amalek? They seem kind of awful and scary and they're like bad Islamic people or whatever. But are we really going to try to eliminate every one of them? The men, the women, the children, the infants, the camels and the sheep? Nah, that's not in our purview because that's not in our interest, because first of all, we don't do things like that and never should. And second, how does that make us stronger and richer and more secure? I don't think it does. Israel is a different view. And so that's the point. This can never work in America's national interest as long as it is tethered to another country's national interest. And if that doesn't work, if it doesn't work in the middle of a war, it probably doesn't work in peacetime either. It probably doesn't work to have a permanent Israeli detachment at, say, the Pentagon, where our wars are planned, or at CIA, where information is collated and analyzed. It probably doesn't work to have people in all branches of government who are dual citizens with Israel and other countries. What?
I don't think that's how it works, Zilla. You said it isn't G outside when they themselves say they are martyrs. I don't think it matters what the fuck they call themselves. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it matters what the fuck they call themselves. Shit, G is G, man. It is. If the shit's going on, it's going on. It don't matter what you call yourself.
Because you're always going to wind up where we are now, which is tethered to another country, which may be a good country or a bad country. We can debate that. But it's not America. And the purpose of the American government is to serve the American people. Not in some abstract way in their war against radical Islam, but in a concrete way, like nicer airports and no crime and decent schools. The things that any citizen should expect from his government. And if you're totally ignoring all of those on behalf of another country, it's just not acceptable. And it's also not sustainable. And so no matter where this goes, and again, we pray it is resolved peacefully and soon, our country needs to think through how this happened, find out in specific terms, not bury it like 9/11 and every other traumatic event over the last 50 years or 63 years. It's like, oh, we're not really sure. We need to be sure. How did this happen? How can we prevent it from happening again? A sober assessment of what went wrong. That's what all functional institutions do. They used to be called after-action reports, and they were mandatory so it didn't happen again. That's what the NTSB does with plane crashes. How'd this happen? We're not going to guess. We're not going to blame radical Islam. We're going to find out whether the pedo tubes worked. We're going to find out the specifics that led to this tragedy, because we don't want more tragedies. And if we'd done that after the Iraq War, we probably wouldn't be here. Because the Iraq War was started, which, as everyone knows, went on for 20 years at great cost, trillions of dollars, and the deaths of hundreds of thousands, millions of people, all in, was started under very similar circumstances. Pressure from Israel, bad intelligence, in part, not exclusively, but in part from Israel, a massive lobbying campaign by Israel-aligned pundits and think tank people, politicians. And if it had gone well, okay. But it didn't. And no one was ever punished for it. And more critically, no one ever explained precisely what happened. And 23 years later, that was 23 years ago this month, we're still debating why it happened. And there are increasingly few people who were there and remember. I'm one of them.
Hey, Chad, did y'all see that yesterday they dropped the audio of AIPAC CEO talking about Marco Rubio, Waltz, and Ratcliffe are Israeli assets during an off-record meeting, allegedly. Did y'all hear about that? That shit's crazy.
Let's not let that happen this time. We can't afford more wars like this. Literally can't afford it, and we shouldn't have to. Because the purpose of the U.S. government is to serve Americans, period. Ranchers built America, feeding our country for over 250 years through...
Damn. That's finna, all right, we gotta get Tucker out of here, Chad. We gotta get Tucker out of here, because that ad is going to, that ad's gonna trigger the, to where they get us the fuck up out of here. So let me go ahead and get Tucker out of here right quick. We might come back to that. Damn, that ad did it. All right, here goes the audio.
As we were talking about, there was a discussion earlier about Congress being representative to the people. Well, the White House has to be responsive to Congress. And so it's working with, at the time, our friends on the Democratic side of the aisle to apply pressure the way that they know how to an administration, as it will be with this administration. Bob was talking about the people who will get appointed into some of these jobs. Look at the top level, you talk about Marco Rubio and Elise Stefanik, and Michael Waltz. Those three people have something in common. They all serve in Congress. They all have relationships with key AIPAC leaders from their communities. So the lines of communication are good. Should there be something questionable or curious that we need access on the conversation to? You never know. One of the first candidates I ever met with as an AIPAC professional when my job was meeting candidates for Congress was a guy named John Ratcliffe. He was challenging a long-time incumbent member of Congress in Dallas. This guy looks like he could win the race. And we go talk to him, get a good understanding of the issues. And a couple of weeks ago, he took the oath as the CIA director, for crying out loud. And this is the guy that they had a chance to speak to. So there are a lot, I won't call them lifelines, but there are lifelines.
Shit. That's kind of crazy. All right, this is what it says. Department of Energy has announced that gas prices will not fall to pre-war levels until mid-2027. That's what the Department of Energy came out and said. Shit is crazy, Chad. All right, man. We probably finna get up out of here. Yeah, we coming up on 2 hours, Chad. We finna get up out of here. We'll be back live later on tonight. I appreciate y'all for pulling on rocking with me. If y'all want to talk about what's going on this episode, be sure to join my Discord. I'm about to get in the Discord now. Dorsey, Fryers, if y'all want to meet me in the Discord, we ain't got a debate. We can just hang out and talk about this episode, how we feel about the kamikaze boats, the goofball, shut the fuck up, Wilbur. The kamikaze boats and the you said I sent something for Bernie Sanders and AI. Let me see if I can pull it up before we get out of here. Let me see if I can find it right quick. Let me see. Bernie's humans will be discarded. Okay. All right. Bernie Sanders humans will be discarded. That doesn't surprise me. I'm gonna pull it up right quick though before we get out of here. Where is it at? All right, there you go. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. If you kind of came around not too long ago, Fries, you've been around for a minute rocking with us, but if you ask like Too Strong and Mama Money and Lala and Big Niche and them, like the OGs and OG Yosemite and OG Pal and all the OGs, man, I've been said that, Chad, that like we're already at a fundamental shift in society to where we have,
but eventually get to the point where
we have linked humans. You know, there's already about 12 people with the Neuralink that we know of. China says they're gonna have 100 million linked by 2030. America's about to start rolling it out to the gamers. So there's gonna come a point in time to where society has shifted. Just like they test the children, like, you know, you got to get the blood test before you take your baby home, man, and shots and shit, man. They're gonna start chipping them. You know, put the Neuralink in them, and yeah. That's where when I see this title that said humans will be discarded, yeah, you'll be a transhumanism. It's like it'll be transhumanism. It's either you're gonna link or you're fucking not, and if you don't, it's gonna be different. So that's why people need to get back to what they know. You know what I'm saying? Get back to growing and planting and being self-sufficient and look at some of these ancient things because the shit's coming. It's going on.
the AIs are much, much, much more powerful. They are running the robots. They are running the factories. They don't actually need the humans. And once they don't need the humans are discarded.
That's scary, is it not?
AI and robotics are moving unbelievably fast. I don't have to tell you, every day there's literally another development out there. And I can tell you without any hesitation that my colleagues in the Congress haven't a clue. And what has concerned me very much is that this entire movement is being funded and driven by a handful of the wealthiest people on earth. So I stay up nights worrying about this. Not too many of my colleagues do.
Bernie, you got to do something with the music, big dog. Like Bernie, man. Like, damn, I want to watch this, but it's the music, Bernie. Damn, Bernie.
Tests. And I want to zoom in on the shutdown program. And yeah, 2 years ago, the AIs would.
Yeah, I can't do it, Fries. I'm gonna have to watch that on my own time. They're gonna flag my live for that damn music in there. I guess that's why he does it. So people, I don't know. What's up, H Buster? Yeah, we finna get out of here though, chat. I'm finna go to the Discord, man. If y'all want to meet me in the voice chat in the Discord, we can hang out for a while. I want to get y'all thoughts and opinions on today's episode. I normally do call-ins, but we're not gonna do call-ins today. We're gonna go to the Discord. So I'm gonna put the Discord on the community tab wall. I'm gonna put the Discord on the community tab wall. How the hell do I get out of my direct messages? Bruh. All right, there we go. All right, yeah, I'm gonna put the Discord on the community tab wall. Let's see. Copy. Boom. All right, there go the Discord. Boom. Let me put it on the community tab wall. Create post. All right, it's on the community tab wall. All right, chat. Yeah, joining the Discord is even if you don't want to chat, it is still the best way to get the notifications because I am shadow banned right now. So I know that a lot of you guys aren't getting notifications, but I always put it in the Discord before I go live. So if you want guaranteed ways to get notifications, just join the Discord and you'll get the notification when I get ready to go live. All right, chat. I'll see y'all on the next one, man.